A tiny tray on a kitchen windowsill can produce more nutrients per square foot than most backyard gardens, and it happens in just 1 week. Many home cooks spend substantial money on packaged microgreens at grocery stores, often paying $3 to $5 for a single ounce that wilts within days of purchase. Yet growing these same greens at home costs pennies and delivers fresher, more potent nutrition. The process requires no soil amendments, no outdoor space, and no gardening experience. Yet it consistently produces harvests that supermarket options cannot match. Understanding the simple mechanics behind this 7-day cycle can transform any kitchen counter into a productive growing space that supplies fresh greens year-round, regardless of climate or season. Microgreens contain nutrient concentrations that mature plants rarely achieve, with studies showing vitamin and antioxidant levels up to 40 times higher than their full-grown counterparts. A small handful of broccoli microgreens delivers more sulforaphane, a potent anti-cancer compound, than an entire head of mature broccoli. This concentrated nutrition comes from harvesting plants at the exact moment when stored seed energy converts into living tissue, capturing nutrients before they dilute through further growth. The speed of production matters just as much as the nutrition. Most varieties seed selection determines both success rate and harvest quality, with certain varieties performing far better than others in microgreen production. Broccoli, radish, sunflower, pea shoots, and mustard consistently rank among the easiest and most productive options for beginners, germinating reliably and growing quickly without special treatment. Seeds sold specifically for microgreens often cost significantly more than standard garden seeds, yet the only real difference involves testing for certain pathogens and ensuring higher germination rates. Purchasing organic, untreated seeds intended for sprouting usually provides the same quality at a fraction of the price, with germination rates of 85% or higher being perfectly acceptable for microgreen production. Seed size matters when planning growing trays. Tiny seeds like amaranth and basil need different handling than large seeds like sunflower and pea, which require pre-soaking. Some varieties like cilantro and beet have lower germination rates naturally, meaning they need heavier seeding to achieve full coverage. Avoiding treated seeds remains crucial because chemical seed coatings can concentrate in young greens and create health concerns when consumed in large quantities. Most hardware store seeds undergo treatment, making them unsuitable for microgreen production despite their low cost. Weight-based purchasing often provides better value than packet sales, especially for high-volume growers who go through seeds quickly. A pound of broccoli seed can cost $15 to $25 and produce dozens of trays, while pre-packaged microgreen seeds might charge the same amount for just a few ounces. Growing containers need drainage holes, shallow depth, and food-safe materials to work effectively for microgreen production. Standard 10x20-inch nursery trays with drainage holes provide ideal dimensions, allowing for easy handling and efficient space use under grow lights or on windowsills. Recycled food containers work equally well if drainage holes are added, though they may not stack as neatly or drain as consistently as purpose-built trays. The growing medium must stay moist without becoming waterlogged, retain enough structure to support dense seeding, and remain free of contaminants that could affect food safety. Potting mix specifically formulated for seed starting generally works best, providing fine texture and consistent moisture retention without the heavy density of garden soil. Coconut coir offers an excellent alternative, remaining naturally sterile, pH neutral, and lightweight, while holding moisture effectively. Some growers use hemp mats or other soilless media, which simplify cleanup and reduce mess, though these specialty products cost more per tray than basic potting mix. Growing medium depth only needs to be 1 to 2 inches, since microgreen roots never develop extensively before harvest. Sterilizing reused trays prevents disease buildup between crops, with a simple bleach solution or hydrogen peroxide soak eliminating most potential pathogens. Setting up multiple trays at once creates a rotation system where new plantings start every few days, ensuring continuous harvest availability. Bottom watering systems using a solid tray underneath the growing tray help maintain consistent moisture without disturbing seeds or young seedlings, though careful monitoring prevents overwatering issues that lead to mold. Seeding density dramatically affects both yield and quality, with proper spacing creating lush, uniform growth while avoiding the mold and disease issues that come from overcrowding. Most microgreen varieties need coverage of 1 to 2 ounces of seed per 10-housed 20-inch tray, with larger seeds like sunflower and pea requiring the higher end of that range. The goal involves creating a dense carpet of seeds that nearly touches without overlapping, allowing each seed enough space to germinate and develop its first true leaves without competing excessively for light. Distributing seeds evenly across the growing surface takes practice, with many growers finding that gentle shaking and tilting of the tray helps achieve uniform coverage better than hand sprinkling. Pre-soaking larger seeds for 8 to 12 hours before planting speeds germination and improves uniformity. Those smaller seeds germinate quickly enough that soaking becomes unnecessary and can actually complicate handling. After spreading seeds, a light pressing into the growing medium ensures good seed-to-soil contact without burying the seeds too deeply. Most microgreen seeds need light to germinate and should remain visible on the surface, with only the slightest covering of medium to hold them in place. Misting the seeded tray thoroughly provides initial moisture without washing seeds into clusters or bare spots, creating the damp environment needed for germination to begin. Covering the tray with a humidity dome or second tray for the first 2 to 3 days maintains moisture and encourages rapid germination, with daily checking ensuring that covers come off once sprouts begin pushing upward. Some seeds germinate in as little as 24 hours, while others take 3 to 4 days, making it important to match expectations with specific variety characteristics. Water management makes the difference between healthy microgreens and failed crops, with both underwatering and overwatering causing significant problems. The growing medium should stay consistently moist, but never soggy, with good drainage preventing water from pooling at the bottom of trays. Bottom watering by placing growing trays in a shallow reservoir of water for 10 to 15 minutes allows roots to draw up moisture without wetting foliage, reducing disease risk substantially compared to overhead watering. Once seedlings establish, light misting from above can supplement bottom watering, though care must be taken to avoid creating standing water on leaves that promotes fungal growth. Light requirements vary by growth stage. During the first 2 to 3 days when seeds germinate in darkness or under covers, no light is needed. Once covers come off and cotyledons begin expanding, microgreens need 12 to 16 hours of bright light daily to develop properly. South-facing windowsills work for some varieties during summer months, but most indoor growing benefits enormously from supplemental lighting. LED grow lights specifically designed for plant growth provide the most energy-efficient option, with full-spectrum bulbs supporting healthy development from emergence through harvest. Light intensity matters as much as duration. Weak light creates leggy, pale growth with poor flavor and nutrition, while proper intensity produces compact, richly colored greens with concentrated taste. Lights should sit 6 to 12 inches above the growing tray, close enough to provide intensity without generating excessive heat. Temperature requirements remain modest, with most microgreens growing well between 65 degrees and 75 degrees, though some varieties like pea shoots prefer slightly cooler conditions. Air circulation helps prevent mold and disease, making a small fan beneficial in growing spaces with poor ventilation, though direct airflow should not dry out the growing medium excessively. Mold represents the most common issue in microgreen production, appearing as white fuzzy growth on the soil surface or on stems when conditions stay too wet and air circulation remains inadequate. Distinguishing between harmful mold and harmless root hairs challenges beginners since both appear white and fuzzy, though root hairs grow in organized patterns directly from the stem base while mold spreads randomly across surfaces. Reducing watering frequency and improving air movement usually controls mold before it becomes serious, with hydrogen peroxide solution sprays providing a treatment option when problems persist. Damping off disease kills seedlings suddenly, causing them to collapse at soil level, and results from fungal pathogens that thrive in overly wet, poorly ventilated conditions. Prevention through proper watering and air circulation works far better than trying to treat affected plants, which rarely recover once symptoms appear. Slow or uneven germination often indicates old seeds with reduced viability, inadequate moisture during the germination phase, or temperature extremes that slow the process. Testing germination rates before seeding full trays helps identify poor quality seed batches, while maintaining consistent moisture and appropriate temperatures ensures reliable sprouting. Yellow or pale growth signals insufficient light, with seedlings stretching toward light sources and developing weak, spindly stems that collapse easily. Moving grow lights closer or increasing light duration typically corrects these symptoms within a day or two. Seeds that fail to shed their seed coats properly create helmets on seedlings that prevent cotyledons from opening and initiating photosynthesis. Gently removing these seed coats by hand or misting them to soften them helps affected seedlings develop normally, though low humidity during germination often causes the problem initially. Foul odors indicate bacterial contamination or decay, usually resulting from excessive moisture combined with poor drainage, and affected trays should be discarded rather than risked for consumption. Harvest timing determines both flavor intensity and nutritional value, with most microgreens reaching optimal size when the first true leaves begin appearing above the cotyledons. This stage typically occurs 7 to 12 days after seeding, depending on variety, temperature, and light conditions, with visual inspection providing more reliable guidance than calendar dates. Harvesting too early reduces yield and results in smaller, less flavorful greens, while waiting too long allows plants to toughen and develop bitter flavors as they mature. The cutting technique requires sharp scissors or a clean knife to slice stems just above the growing medium, leaving roots behind to decompose naturally or to be composted with the spent growing medium. Cutting cleanly without pulling or tearing stems maintains quality and reduces the risk of bacterial contamination during storage. Harvesting entire trays at once works well for immediate use or short-term storage, though cutting only needed portions allows the rest of the tray to continue growing for a day or two longer if light and moisture remain adequate. Rinsing harvested microgreens gently in cool water removes any growing medium particles and improves food safety, though excessive washing can damage delicate leaves and reduce shelf life. Drying greens thoroughly after washing by spinning in a salad spinner or patting with clean towels prevents excess moisture that accelerates spoilage during storage. Some growers harvest without washing, particularly when using clean growing methods with soilless media, though rinsing remains the safer option for reducing potential contamination. Flavor intensity varies significantly among varieties. Radish and mustard provide sharp, peppery tastes, sunflower offers nutty sweetness, and pea shoots deliver fresh, sweet pea flavor that works in both salads and cooked dishes. Experimenting with harvest timing by a day or two helps identify personal preferences for flavor intensity versus tenderness. Nutritional content in microgreens peaks at harvest and declines gradually during storage, making immediate consumption ideal whenever possible. Studies measuring vitamin C, beta-carotene, and other nutrients show that microgreens harvested and consumed within hours contain 20% to 40% more of these compounds than greens stored for even a few days. Storage methods significantly impact how quickly nutrients degrade. Keeping unwashed microgreens in sealed containers in the refrigerator preserves quality better than leaving them at room temperature or storing them already washed. Paper towels placed in storage containers absorb excess moisture that would otherwise promote bacterial growth and decay, extending usable life from 3 to 4 days up to a full week. Different varieties have varying storage characteristics. Sunflower and pea shoots stay fresh longer than delicate varieties like amaranth and basil, which wilt and deteriorate within just a couple of days even under ideal conditions. Freezing microgreens preserves some nutritional value and allows long-term storage, though texture suffers significantly, and frozen greens work better in smoothies or cooked applications than in fresh salads. Dehydrating microgreens creates shelf-stable powders that can be added to soups, smoothies, or baked goods, retaining much of the original mineral content while losing water-soluble vitamins. The cost-benefit analysis of home growing versus purchasing becomes striking when calculations include the full nutritional value. Store-bought microgreens often cost $40 to $50 per pound, while homegrown versions cost $2 to $4 per pound, including seeds, medium, and electricity for lighting. A single 10x 20-inch tray typically yields 8 to 12 ounces of fresh microgreens, enough to replace several weeks of store purchases depending on consumption patterns. Financial analysis reveals that home microgreen production pays for initial equipment investments within just a few growing cycles, with ongoing costs remaining minimal. A basic setup, including grow lights, trays, and initial seeds, costs $75 to $150, while each subsequent tray costs only $1 to $3 for seeds and growing medium. Commercial microgreens at farmers markets and grocery stores typically retail for $3 to $5 per ounce, making a single homegrown tray worth $25 to $40 at retail equivalent prices. Growing just 2 trays per month saves $600 to $800 annually compared to purchasing the same amount commercially, quickly justifying any equipment investments. Energy costs for grow lights remain surprisingly low, with modern LED fixtures using 15 to 30 watts and running 14 hours daily, costing only $2 to $4 per month in electricity. Scaling up production to supply multiple trays simultaneously increases efficiency, since the same lights and space can accommodate several trays at different growth stages. Some home growers find that selling excess microgreens to neighbors or at local markets turns a hobby into a profitable side business, with demand consistently exceeding supply in many communities. Restaurant chefs particularly value locally grown microgreens delivered fresh on the day of use, often paying premium prices for reliable suppliers. Organic certification and cottage food laws vary by location, but many small-scale growers operate successfully without formal licensing under local regulations that permit direct-to-consumer sales of fresh produce. The environmental benefits complement the financial savings. Eliminating packaging waste, transportation emissions, and refrigerated storage required for commercial distribution reduces the carbon footprint substantially. Growing microgreens at home also provides complete control over inputs, allowing for certified organic practices without the cost premium that organic labels command in retail settings. Fresh, nutrient-dense microgreens growing on a kitchen counter transform daily meals with minimal effort and maximum nutritional return. The 7-day harvest cycle creates a continuous supply that never requires a trip to the store or acceptance of wilted, overpriced packages. Starting with just 1 or 2 trays allows experimentation with techniques and varieties before committing to larger production, with each growing cycle building knowledge and confidence. The process rewards attention to detail in watering and lighting, but forgives minor mistakes, making it accessible even for those who have never grown anything before. If fresh, concentrated nutrition on demand appeals, consider setting up a first tray this week and experiencing the difference that comes from harvesting greens at their absolute peak.